The 1st of April, and we are Astro Monday. We are going to be talking about what's coming up this week. This is a powerful week. We have an eclipse coming, and we have had an absolutely weird week last week. I don't know about you, but I've been feeling it. As you come on in, put down your sun sign, your moon, and your rising. If you know that, if you know the degree, put it down as well. We're going to be talking to Mr. Christopher Witecki from Serious Joy. Today is, hey, welcome. Hey, you guys. Today's a powerful day. Absolutely. How are you feeling? I'm feeling kind of chill today. Had a really big week last week. We were with Zach Levi. We were with Jimmy Levy. Really wild week. Hey, Garry. Yay, Monday. Guys, waiting for Astro Monday. Come on in. As you come in, can you do me a favor? Can you hit this button down here? Send this off to a few friends. Give me some likes over here. Some fire. Sun Aries rising. So Aries, are you Aries feeling it right now? You're coming up to your birthday. There's a little bit of frustration, anger coming up. Scott, how you doing? Grandmaster Capricorn, you are? 10 Cancer Moon. Oh, that's why you're always out there doing stuff into your body. You're that Cancer Moon. 20 Taurus Sun, 10 Aries Moon, 22 Gemini Rising. Greeting from Dubai. I will be there starting the 9th. Going back to Dubai. Hey, Michael Frump, all the way from Germany. Good to see you. Yes, Aries Rising. Super emotional weekend. I'm wondering what you guys felt this weekend. Leo Sun, Moon Aries, Moon Aquarius, Pisces Ascendant. Wow, that's a tough one. Hey, from Denmark, how you guys doing? Give me a bunch of likes down here. When am I in New York? Well, I'll be at Omega Institute in August. I mean, that's as close as I'm going to get to New York, I think. Well, I will be there for some media, but that's going to be later on. I'll be in and out. April 20th, birthday coming up. Hey, Brownwind 31, are you 28 degree or 27 degree or 29 degree? April 20th, you could be either one of those. Check your degree. Serious Joy, here we go. Hey, Kim and Kelly. 16 degree Aries, Michael Frump. Hey, how you doing,
Hello, how's it
Chris?
going? Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Doing good,
Guys,
man.
uh, everybody on staff, everyone there. Yeah,
Everybody, how was your weekend?
I think it was intense. It was the eclipse blowout, and I would say it was full of tension, arguments. Just a lot of just icky stuff, like blowing stuff out of a hose, kind of thing.
Huh.
So I'm a little tired, I'm a little hungover today from it all. Well, we call it, eclipse hangovers. Yeah, the whole staff was today too. We
Wow.
had a meeting, and yeah, we're all just kind of feeling, energetically a little fried, from it. Yeah,
I feel, I
maybe.
feel, I had a good weekend. I feel very tired today. That's
Yes,
basically,
yeah, we feel very tired today. That's what we mean. Yeah,
yeah.
we feel tired today. It's like, well, it was a dose of adrenaline, like times 10. So Grandmaster Step 9 Aries solar eclipse, and solar eclipses are a booster shot of energy. So it's more energy than you're used to, and so that's the action item energy. That's the energy that is the ruler of the ego, 9 Aries.
Yeah.
So it was a shot of adrenaline to the ego. That's what it was, and it erupted in misunderstandings. People getting defensive, thinking thought they heard it one way, they heard it wrong. They're going way off. Half cocked. Like which is appropriate word for Aries. So things like that. But and just having, come on, trying to talk people off the ledge. With anger and stuff like that. Yeah, that was it's kind of exhausting that way. But
Yeah, I found I
yeah.
had a couple little hiccups. I would have pushed my 28 Pisces and Chiron, but I found I just was non-reactive to everything.
I didn't let it get to me. I didn't let it like. I didn't let. Well, I stopped myself from letting it weigh on me. So there was that reversal of behavior. So there was that stuff. I want to weigh on me and then I take it back off. So there's a lot of that going on.
Hmm.
But it didn't weigh on me heavily like it used to or anything like that. It rolled off at the end. To me, it was a
Yeah,
graduation. Yeah. Mhm.
that's exactly, yeah, rolled off,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
It was a graduation of these old things. And, for me, it has a sense to spot my chart, though, too, my final degree of my eighth house. So that's a real karate chop to the, whatever. It's just that one button that like makes everything change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so there was that. But not horrible. Just glad it's over.
I
Right?
had a really powerful week. It was one of those weeks where you get to, because I came from Cancun, went to Mexico City. We're in LA shooting content for a
Yeah,
week,
it's great.
and um, and I had some surprises. Like soul connections. It was funny because I walked on the plane coming to from Mexico City to LA, and on the plane, this short girl comes up. She says, "Hey, Garry, I've been meaning to get a hold of you," and we're sitting right next to each other. And so as we're talking, I realized it's Eva Longoria, and it took me a minute because you don't see the makeup and everything like that,
Right.
and so we had all these people coming, and I was pulling the astrology, saying why is it happening, and it's like all these deep soul connections, like people that that I just feel like I know, coming in, and this week in the podcast is the same thing. That's what
Yes.
I found.
Yeah, I've had the same thing. Actually, you told me to come down there for that, didn't you? When's it
Yeah.
Apex? When's it Apex? What day this week?
Oh no, we're done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got another one. We're gonna do Austin, May 18th, and then but you'll be in Austin when, the 12th or 18th?
No, no. I'll be in Nashville. We're doing it in Nashville. Unite LA is in Nashville this year.
Oh, Nashville.
Hmm.
And then I'll be back in LA on June 10th for 10
Oh,
days shooting. So we'll get you then.
okay. I was planning to go and I forgot. I don't know. I'm sorry. I mean, life's been a kind of a blur this
It has
season.
been a blur. Like
Hmm.
it's time just moving by. It's like weeks are disappearing.
Yeah.
And I got Simona K here. She just joined. Simona is new on our team. She's currently handling social media, traveling. But guess what? She's a 28-degree Sagittarius.
Oh, 23, huh? Interesting. So
Yeah,
she's just one step behind you.
yeah. It's like before the words are out of our mouth, we know what each other's thinking.
That's interesting. That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. You're just one step apart. Yeah, that's interesting. Have I even had let's see, I'm 18. Yeah, I've had some 17 Tauruses around me.
You know,
You know.
there this so I so like all these high level connections coming in. We had this event over at open house, and there was like grandmaster. It was like bizarre. Everybody was at 0 or 28 degrees or 29 degrees. And then Dr. Brian Artist came in. His son, his wife is the 19th of December.
Mm.
His son is the 20th of December,
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
all
Yeah.
coming in on Friday. And I'm thinking I'm absorbing this energy for some reason.
Mm. Observing or absorbing, one of the two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly studying them up close.
So what does this week look like? Because people are a little hungover.
Hmm.
We're going into Aries. People are taking action.
Hmm.
It's definitely, you could feel the new year here for sure.
Well, we just installed a new ego, which we call the Wego, because we think that this is a pluralistic ego, an ego that's capable of considering something other than itself. So that's what to us is enlightenment, like for the ego's sake. And that's something else can be any variable, whether two sides of yourself and someone else, yourself and the government, whatever. It's the ego is now taking two in consideration. That's what we kind of downloaded. I downloaded from Spirit, and so that got officially launched in really the solar eclipse. That solar eclipse is at Grandmaster 9 Aries, and that literally is the creation, the formation of an ego. The ego forms at 9 Aries. So we reformatted, however you want to look at it, upgraded, probably really, really tearing down the old one and building up the new one. So I really think it's a gradual process technically. of implementing the Wego, and it's a gradual process of decommissioning the ego.
Mhm.
And that process really begins this week. This week, today's step 11. So part of the reason why we feel tired today is because we're so in touch with our body. Step 11 is when we're in when our body is the ruling state of awareness. So our body is ruling today, and so our body's revealing to us, where it is and all this energy. And remember, we were just in Pisces, so we basically ignored the body for a full month. Focused on the opposite side of the spectrum, spirit. So the body's actually tired from that too. But in this week, you're going to basically take this new ego and you're going to go back into your life. And what's going to happen is you're going to immediately see conflict, because the ego is the old ego was set up for, one winner, a win-lose scenario. Win-lose scenario is the basis of an ego. And so the win-lose scenarios will then be challenged by the fact that the ego is, I think, inherently seeking a win-win scenario, which is always possible. So, this can create a lot of aggravation and frustration because, you've always known it before, but now you just see so clearly how you're getting the raw and the stick in a situation, or how, or you might realize you have been giving someone the raw and the stick. You may also, I think, in this, realize that, some relationships or some situations are just not as mature as you have become. So I think a lot of people realizing they've grown past or grown out of situations. Now, I think the Wego is the final step. You've been growing apart for a long time, but now that you got this new coat on, it's really, really clear and undeniable. And what's undeniable and clear is the behavior. So to be clear, the way you identify people's ego or Wego is their behavior. If their behavior is, respectful of both parties, I would say it's an enlightened ego. If the behavior is, respectful of only one party, I think that's the old ego operating. And so people will operate in the old ego as long as they can get away with it if they're not on this progressive path to make themselves better. And so, and that will probably start to really collapse in bad form, like in Leo, probably, the next fire sign. So I think you'll see, at that point, complete collapse for those people. We're able to get that old ego through the summer. That's about it, you know. So this week, what we do is we have our heart as the main staple. The heart is the ruling state of awareness with all the teen degrees. So the heart rules and the heart rules and so what you're getting is your heart seeing it compared to other things in life, especially as it relates to actions, activities, accomplishments, because this is the state of Aries, the state of the Wego. This is the part of the human soul that does things, right? So does things or doesn't do things. And so you're going to be also seeing how far did this go? How far did that go? Will this get done? Why isn't this done? So a lot of observation of progress or lack of progress, or effort or lack of effort. And these, with the heart ruling the week, this just, angers the heart, or, inspires the heart, one of the two, right? Or frustrates the heart. So, as we go through the week, we become more or less frustrated with certain situations. And it looks like shit hits the fan on Wednesday, on step 13, because step 13 on Wednesday is the day where we're called to sort of, we realize that this new Wego, this new way of operating ourselves, doesn't belong in something it's in right now.
Right.
Okay. Which is obvious. We've graduated, of course. We've grown out of it. So now, the problem with 13 in Aries is it's really, what's the word? Bombastic, because people are quick to knee jerk to react. Their own egos flare off without them asking. You can be operating the ego and your ego still flare off. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so trained to like karate chop when someone comes at them. There's so much programming in the ego to defend oneself. So people being overly defensive on Step 13 day, people are being in denial, trying to hold out for obviously the emperor has no clothes and they're still saying he's got clothes on, or you might have people just so stand out like such a sore thumb. It's humiliating. And, it's a pride issue because, also the ego is our pride and our ability to hold up our character. So you'll see some characters falls and things like that happen. And people will take little falls on their own and they'll realize, I really shouldn't be walking in this anymore, or I shouldn't be putting myself at risk over here. So just a lot of, chaos on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, it's like, what the hell was that about? And then on Friday, it's like, I need to find peace in my life. What am I going to do about it? So we sort of start to look for a solution by Thursday, Friday. And it's not until Saturday. Well, Saturday, you allow peace at 16 that 7 day on Saturday. So Saturday, Spirit comes through and offers some advice. And that's important because, the ego and the way it's set is like it's a determination. It's sort of like it has its eye on the goal and doesn't really see anything in between. And so because of that, the way it operates is that it's usually very harsh and unrelenting and impatient, right? So a lot of people end up, skipping steps, being really hard on themselves, being very judgmental of themselves to motivate themselves. A lot of negative reinforcement with self, like beating yourself up, telling yourself you're a loser. A lot of that is kind of goes along with the ego and the way the ego has been constructed. But you hit that step 16 day, and suddenly grace comes through, which is God's spirit, and compassion comes through. And so once compassion comes through on Saturday, you likely then have an aha moment.
Hmm.
So I don't think because it's like, oh yeah, why am I being so fucking hard on myself? Like, you just realize you've just been caught up in your ego, and you didn't even realize it. 'Cause a lot of times, people get caught up in their ego, and it feels inside like they're being strong. They don't you don't classify you as you being a narcissist on the inside. You feel attacked, and so you're being strong, and you're trying to not let them control you. But what you're using is your ego to do that, right? And if you're wrong about the threat, then it's really bad, right? So there's a lot of aha moments when people finally kind of relax, see the God perspective, see the compassion perspective, see the perspective of compassion for themselves, and be more easy on themselves. And so I think a window opens up Saturday, and then Sunday we make a commitment, step 17, and that's when you really make a commitment to the way you're going to operate in the daily world. So you could say that this week could be about what you do in your life. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do dishes. I don't want to, I don't work at this level anymore. I don't want to be the boss. I don't want to have a boss. A lot of a lot of changes in motion, activity, behavior, and responses.
So I noticed that the political landscape's going kind of batshit crazy right now.
I've heard about that.
All
Yeah.
around the world,
Mhm.
natural disasters everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What do
mean,
what's the take on that?
my take is, if there's a natural disaster there, then the population is so out of touch. They needed Mother Earth to say something.
Yeah,
So and Mother Earth kind of was reacting to, I think, their energy that was stuck and not flowing. I mean, the most dangerous thing is to stop flowing,
yeah.
right? So if you stop growing, you stop flowing, then pressure starts to build somewhere. Because this universe is expanding at an accelerating rate. So if you're not expanding at an accelerating rate, you are actually holding back progress of yourself and the universe. And eventually it does explode into a tornado or a volcano. Like
Yeah, because in Thailand they had the the earthquake, and then there was a tsunami came in. But the
wow.
earthquake broke apart one of the buildings or the bridges, and
Whoa.
and I always wonder when things like that happen. Because there's a component of it that's man-made, there's a component of it that's natural, but I always think it all happens in the way it's supposed to at the area it's supposed to happen, anyways.
I do too.
So when something like that happens in that kind of area, you're saying that there's actually stuck energy.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes, absolutely. They're stuck in sadness. They're stuck in grief. They're not growing. They're stuck in their own ways. Yeah, that's basically it's just like the body sends a fever. Like Earth sends her own fevers and chills. You know what I mean? Like and I think that yes, that's what happens.
Well, um, so what about the politics lately? Like with the U.S. is actually on this about face turn, and it looks like the world is, as we've been talking about for a long time, is finally moving into total chaos.
Oh, really? I had been out of touch. In fairness, I mean, because I've sort of made myself the priority in my
Hmm.
life. And turns out I'm high maintenance. I'm turns out I need two of me for me, but no, I haven't been in touch, and also I didn't want to connect to the energy, so I'm not familiar with any of the actual headlines right now. So you have to fill me in, but I could tell you what astrologically this is happening
Yeah.
probably.
So what is due? Because we've been waiting for this dismantling of the old system,
Ah,
and what I've been noticing is that it's dismantling, but people don't actually see it as dismantling because they're
oh
so focused on what's right ahead of them. They don't see the bigger picture.
yes, I know. I got into an argument over the weekend around the eclipse with someone who I don't know. I said something complimentary about Trump, and I was suddenly attacked. About it was just interesting. It was like Trump's ruining gay rights, and I was like, what rights are we taking away? I don't understand. You can still have sex with the same gender. I don't see what the problems are. Like where is it?
Yeah.
And so everything that he was saying that Trump was doing, I was like, I don't where. What was it? What was it was
What
nothing.
did he do?
But
Yeah, I noticed the talking points that things are being removed or taken away, but it's like there's nothing that's changed.
show me, yeah, show me the bill, show me. Like I can. and I've said, like, I can see the, having to use two bathrooms. Like, I can see that one going through. Like, I think they'll lose the transgender bathroom fight, but that's it. I think that's it. Like,
It's
I don't think it's
the
gonna be anything else. I really don't.
it's the only thing that's
Gay
gonna
marriage
go.
will still be intact. I mean, that's actually, if y'all have been married, you may not want it. Let me tell you. I'm telling every gay friend, I'm like, you sure you want to be married? Because we all learned not to. Like, I understand it was taken from you, but
Didn't you get
honestly,
out of that relationship to do it again?
it was a gift. It was a gift. You didn't go in there. Trust me. I mean, like, God, like, oh, the state in your business. Oh, but I'm already meeting a lot of gay people who are getting divorces
Yeah.
now, and it's a big wave of divorces, and that makes sense. That's good actually. I mean, the fact that it lasted as long as he did. You know what I mean? Like, but and they're just like my friends who are going through it, they're just like, this is horrible. I'm like, yeah, it is. This is why. This is why we didn't understand why you were fighting for us. It's like, but it's okay. It's okay. You have a right. You do have a right, but it's a pain in the ass when the government is telling you what to do and change your name and all this stuff. Like, ugh. But so well, here's the thing. The big scope of it is that Aries is when this big. First of all, this big ego shift, which I speak a lot about personal growth and personal change because it doesn't come down to the individual, right? So what's happening this week is people are putting on their new ego. Now, my ego, for instance, will tolerate no bullshit from other people. Like this new ego does not play around the happy sensei games anymore. Some people will be like, you're meaner. I'm like, you mean I'm enforcing boundaries? Like, that's not mean. That's a right. But so I think you're going to see suddenly what was a pushover part of the population no longer being pushed over. So that's what it looks like. And what it looks like is that portion of the population, because I feel like this next wave is we the people. It's not going to be, Trump will, bow out. He will not take, if he does anything good, he will not take credit. He'll bow out. Okay. I feel he will not allow a person to be given the responsibility, given the credit, for the situation because they feel like the day where it's like one man or one person is over.
Yeah.
It's about we the people. It's about collectives. It's about communities. In fact, I was talking to one of the alien races, and I was having an interview with the alien race, and they had like the Council of Seven, and I was like, why do you guys always have councils, right? Because you hear this all the time from mediums. I have a council of nine. There's a group of two, and she was saying, we don't have one president. We have a council of seven. I was like, oh, shit. Like, so a council's a president. Yes, that's what you would call it. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, suddenly I was like, my eyes just went wide. I realized, wow, that is, I guess, high resolution management. I said, we couldn't get some people to get along in this country. So I don't even know how we do that. I don't know how we do that. Like, how do you like seven people to get along? But so I do think we're moving to pluralism. I mean, pluralism is the step towards unity. And what pluralism is that we're thinking in numbers. We're not thinking in singles anymore, individuals. And so I think that what's going to happen is the people in numbers are going to start to be less tolerant and stronger and no longer afraid of their shadow. A lot of reasons why people have been sitting in their homes afraid is not because they're lazy, like people kind of classify them. It's because they were dealing with trauma. They were traumatized in past lives. They probably did die. They did have horrible deaths. Their soul remembers that stuff. And so, for the first, few weeks of Trump or Biden, whichever one was your villain, people were terrified because it looked like history was repeating itself from a past life. But we all went through that and we've all faced it now. And we all not afraid of the big bad wolf. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see tension rise. So Saturn, Neptune has moved into Aries over the weekend.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a long cycle.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, it's a long cycle. It's 165 years since the last time it was in there. And Abraham Lincoln was president. So Abraham Lincoln, Trump. Like, that's kind of interesting, right? So both Republicans. I mean, like, kind of interesting also. So what that means is now it's interesting because ego is the farthest removed from God you can be. Ego is the part of us that can deny God. Ego is the part of us that can deny. So we don't, our other states of awareness can't deny. Our mind can't really deny a thought, which is why it's wrong to clear your mind for meditation. That's a lie. Someone made that up just so you wouldn't actually talk to God. You just be arm wrestling your brain the whole time. You cannot. You have to silence your mind. You don't have to. But the thing is, like all these other states of awareness, they can absorb energy very easily. You go through all of them, you'll hear them. But the ego doesn't. The ego is all about resistance. It's the resistance energy, right? So So what's interesting is like you have God, Neptune, going into the resistance,
Hmm.
which is a paradoxical kind of thing. Like it's
Was
literally
this the
like,
same when Abraham Lincoln, was it also the same? I mean, it's the 185 years, but it was it also the same conditions. This is why
uh,
we're due for change.
well, no, I mean, I don't know all the planets. But for instance, like Pluto was in Taurus at the time when Abraham Lincoln was president. So Pluto in Taurus was like the country was having money problems,
Yeah,
and so the South wanted their free labor, and the North was pissed that they didn't get free labor. It was a jealousy thing mostly. It wasn't like, hey, it's immoral. It was like, hey, how come you got free labor? We don't. Like,
really.
you should have to pay too. Like, it wasn't that. It's framed wrong in social studies books. But like, but it was, the real issue, from what I understand about the seceding was money. It was money. It was money. It was the right to they have their own treaties with Europe. It was a whole bunch of stuff around money. And then actually, Lincoln as an opportunist elevated to slavery so that he could actually get it passed by the people. Because the other thing that was going on right there at the same time was a religious like a religious zealot explosion. Like the country just got super religious when Neptune was in Pisces.
Hmm.
There were cults built. There were all these different things, that were created. There were like, factions of the Pilgrim, all the Protestants, like Baptist churches. They were all splitting into their own like kind of divisions, and so people got super religious, super moral, super on the high ground. And Lincoln, being a brilliant politician, was like, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the slavery card, which he wanted to do. It was on his list of things to do. So I think he didn't want to do it. He did, but he knew that everyone was really breaking up over money, and he made it. He made the war about slavery, and that was brilliant.
Huh.
So yeah, so it
Interesting.
was yeah, it's really brilliant. So and that was a moral issue at the time, yes. But it's like once Neptune went to Aries, it was like I'm now willing to fight for my faith. So it's like, you're mixing the fight and the struggle with the faith, right? So your religious wars, you have, on the other sides of the planet, are similar, similar mixtures of Pisces and Aries, where it's like we're fighting for God, right? We're fighting for our God. We're fighting for our vision of faith. Our God's better than your God, and we're going to prove it by killing you. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. So I think you're going to see a lot of. The other thing you're going to see is, for people who are not awake, right? Awake meaning that you just don't notice the subtle things. You don't notice your intuition. You don't notice the like subtle voices in your head that suggest things to you, and so you see everything as your idea, right? So a lot of people who are zealots, will feel like they're being told by God, or not even told, it's just their idea that they need to go do something now about that. I need to do something. I can't sit here and wait, for the earth to be ruined. I'm going to do something. So I think Neptune and Aries inspires a lot of action, whereas, passivity and prayer would be like the normal Pisces stuff. But now it's like, no, I'm not going to pray. I'm going to go out and kill. I'm going to go out and do stuff. So I think you're going to see like a rise in bad actors. You're going to see a rise in what are lunatics, people who are just way delusional, off their rocker, sociopaths, things like that. I think you'll see a rise of. I think gun violence, see a rise of. I mean, people are just going to be, intuitively, they're going to be going into violence and taking action really quickly from a psychic suggestion or from an intuitive hit. And so I just think you see a lot of what seems to be random stuff, but it's not random. It's a subconscious thing. So the subconscious is now ruling the ego. There's no way of looking at it.
So um this is where we were talking about, because we've got the confluence of all the energies where people want to rebel, move, take action against something. That's happening right now,
Yes.
and that we're going to feel that all the way through to the end of this year, right?
Oh, I mean, what happens is that, Neptune and Saturn, so Neptune gets up to 2, Saturn gets up to 1 in Aries. That's all they get. And Uranus gets up to 1 degree Gemini. So they only make it into the 0, 1, and 2. All right. And Pluto makes up to 3 Aquarius. So these planets that go into new signs, they only get so far as to transform the very core of each person, the core. And then after they transform the core, they retreat back into Pisces or retreat back into Taurus, respectively. And so it's back to the drawing board. So the individual has a conclusion, makes a conclusion over the summer, and then they retrograde. And so that conclusion might be, my suspicion is the conclusion is I've got to do something about it. But actually, it's the new Wego, so it's like we've got to do something about this.
Hmm.
And so I think that they retreat, and we become sort of bipolar in the fall, where it looks like there's two sides that both retreated, and this is almost like the Civil War. Both waiting for one to make the first shot, and then it looks
Hmm.
like the first shot is taken like around April a year from now. So the real conflict is next year.
Right.
This is
Because
the
next year,
buildup.
I mean, we're uh, at 2025. We're in a 9 years, so this is where everybody's starting the action, and then next year is when the world realizes it. I don't want this. I want more of this. I'm going to make something new happen. Right.
Hmm. Yeah, 2020. So 2026 would be 2 + 2 is 4 + 6. Yeah, it's in that 10 years. So it's when it manifests. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the following years when things come together. So yeah, I mean, and this, so ironically, this is also where Pluto was, in the American Revolution, and this is where Uranus was in World War II. So we have actually all the other planets, except Jupiter, moves too fast, in spaces where we've typically had major wars.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But this time, it strikes me as this is not a war with physical people. It's more of a war of perception, of of transfer of belief systems.
Yes, I mean it's yes, the intelligentsia of the world. It's really a war of the intelligentsia. I mean, the Palladians call it a frequency war. That literally different vibes are fighting with vibes.
Hmm.
So it's like your dad, the vibe of your dad's musky den is in a war with your grandma's sewing room. It's like what the fuck? These two vibes, these two weird vibes are like at war with each other. And what they are is they're trying to dominate the vibe, And what's happened is humans have become aware of a lot of things, and and also very aware of vibe, because Pluto and Aquarius made everyone aware of the vibe, right? Everyone's aware of their vibe now. They didn't used to be. They used to be able to single it out. They might have called it like a bad feeling. Now they're like, I'm getting some bad vibes for this person. They know there's something energetic. Like we've realized there's something energetic. We're picking up energy off the person, energy off the situation, energy off the camera, and so now the human beings can read the vibes. Now the people who were putting out the bad vibes were counting on that not happening. Like that we wouldn't be able to. Through I think certain medications that come after the spread of a virus.
Yeah.
Like certain applications of things that like squish the vibe. I think was the plan. Like we were just numb to it. But you can't hold back Mother Nature. So
I mean, I had Dr. Brian Artis on again this week. I was saying,
cool.
and his research and findings is going to shock the world. I mean, it already is. I had a couple posts up from him. One of them just hit 15 million views in the
Whoa.
last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's talking about nicotine. It's talking about the viruses, or what people think, and then how the let's just say poisons are being entered into our systems. He breaks out a map of the toxins that are, and then breaks out a map of all the patents, and then all the companies that own the patents.
Wow.
It's deep. I mean, I took it. I had to sit there and look at that for a while to realize, because we've always said death by a thousand cuts, right?
Yeah.
And some of it I didn't even see coming.
Oh, really? Some of the things, like some of the substances and whatnot.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting, because they're ramping up for something new. You can feel it,
Mm.
and it just doesn't seem like it's catching. There's a few people talking about it, but they're trying to spread the word of a new virus and new illnesses, and people just don't seem to be buying it or grabbing it.
No, I mean human beings get. Fortunately, here's what happened. They shortened media to where we had the shortest attention span in the world. And then they gave us iPhones and made us even have a shorter attention span. And then you want us to be afraid of a virus for a long time? We're not doing anything for a long time, thanks to you. So it's like that's the thing about the dark. They're not smart. They're not smart. They always do stupid shit like that all the time. Where one of their evil plots ends up, screwing up their other evil plot because they weren't thinking like in more quantum terms. Because they're just all like, hands on the wheel kind of thinkers. Um, really small-minded thinkers, honestly, from what I can tell, which make me feel really good. Small-minded because they're not connected to God, so they're not really getting any of that high AI, angelic into intelligence.
You know, I I interviewed Jimmy Levy this week,
Mm,
the artist from American Idol. Well, I mean a lot of things, but one of them was American Idol. He was going into the music industry and the darkness of it, and the
hmm
satanic worship and rituals that which he participated in.
uh,
And now he just released a single on Friday. He's singing gospel music, but in house. It's unbelievable. But what was interesting was that he made a comment on the podcast, which people got to hear. He talks about how the darkness has to use sacrifice in order to manifest, right?
hmm
And but in the light, they don't use sacrifice because somebody gave a sacrifice.
No, interesting. Yeah,
That was
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea
Although
that that's the way that they thought of it.
that's interesting. Well, now I would politely disagree with him if I was on a podcast with him. I'd say, the dark made up the whole sacrifice story. That wasn't the light. You
Yeah,
know, that was this Constantine's story that he sacrificed and gave us. The whole point is they made God. They made Jesus sacrifice because that was part of the dark rituals, anyways. And
yeah,
so the idea that he sacrificed himself is actually a dark thing. You don't sacrifice yourself. The truth of the matter is you don't have no sacrifice. It's God. There's no. It's no. It's God, the source of everything. Why would you sacrifice anything when you're working with the source of everything? You don't
right.
need to. It's a simple math. We got more in the warehouses, boys. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to. In fact, actually, what's weird is with a God spell, whenever there's something with God, it's like you get more for less energy and also a bonus prize.
Yeah.
It's always like it's ridiculously impossible. As far as what you would have thought. The efficiency of God and how efficient God works. But so yeah, I hear him on that. Yeah, I don't think Jesus sacrificed at all.
Yeah, I was just it
And
was just one of those comments because he came from satanic worship, right? He was
right, yeah. Well, now he's flipped the other way to like real extreme Christianity, and
yeah,
he'll probably like find a nice balance. He'll wiggle out in the middle somewhere because Christianity, is satanic also. They own both churches.
yeah.
Like everyone, I mean, from what I can tell, the Catholic Church has always been satanic from the beginning. Like, honestly,
Well,
yeah,
if you haven't, if somebody hasn't done this, just put down the throne of Satan, Vatican, and then you'll see
yeah.
the
Oh,
serpent
it's
and the
all
throne.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty enlightening if somebody hasn't done that. Because this is the one thing that baffles me is that there's been all these things that have been out there for all time for us to see, but we couldn't see them because we were shrouded by a belief system. All of these dark elements that were out there, all through everywhere, and it is prolific. It is everywhere, and we just couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know why. I mean, we were quite a spell. I think it's because we're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you're in flight or flight, I mean, you've made these points many times about how how you can't concentrate, you can't see. If your body's in fight or flight, and you're worried about your survival.
You
You're
don't
not
see
going
anything.
to see. You're not going to put any pieces together. No, you're just the only thing you're putting together is tonight's food. So I think that's a real reason why we didn't see it. And then there are people who did see it, but the people who saw it were like wealthy people who sat around and read books all day. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm amazed. I'm amazed how much in the dark we have been. Um, you, as far as not understanding it and being lied to and believing in it for so long. Even I felt foolish. I was like, "Fuck,"
Yeah, there's been a lot of them where I over this last year. It's like, wow, I didn't see that. I don't
Mhm.
know how I didn't see that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say, so coming up into we're coming through April. We're coming into Gemini this year. And I'm curious because that's it feels like Gemini's where this year's particularly it feels like where people's media face is going to change. I can kind of see it. Like I can see people shifting right now and being kicked out or brought in. I see new faces rising.
And TV film, like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know where the Hollywood system is, but I know what I'm doing. We're creating our own, and I know they'll probably fix themselves a little bit. But here's the deal: Jupiter's been in Gemini for a year now, and so almost a year, and that's really what's happening is we're getting what I call new thoughtware. Okay, new thoughtware, which is the software our brain runs on, and we have been downloading new thoughtware all year long. Jupiter has recently gone direct again, and so now we're installing new thoughtware, and we install new thoughtware. The thoughtware is uploaded and complete by Gemini. So what you're sensing is the new thoughtware online, and this new thoughtware is a new way of thinking about it, a new way of seeing things, right? A new perspective, because Jupiter is the perspective and Gemini is the processing system. So we're bringing new perspectives to the way we process information, basically. And so once you have these new perspectives, you're breaking free. As long as you have an alternative to the one you had doesn't have dominance over you anymore, right? As long as there's one alternative. If you say, or it could be this, then suddenly this is not the number one thing. And again, we were with a singular ego, and so I think we were singular thought processes and singular media systems. And overall, people now are thinking differently. I talk to people who, I've been talking to people because I talk to everybody, at a grocery store or whatever. Like to me, God sends them to me, and they do. It's fascinating stuff. And I'll ask them stuff like, "Well, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that?" And a lot of the people who normally last like 2 years ago would have been like, so like our fellow citizens are trying to kill us by not wearing a mask. They don't care about us. They're evil. Like the people like went way into the what's the word? The narrative. You know what I mean? Um, forgetting their whole life of how it's always been. you know, but now are saying to me, something ain't right. You know, they won't go so far as like it's a conspiracy or whatever. It's just like something ain't right, something don't look right, something's not. So everyone has now accepted that there may be another thing they don't know, and that was it. Once you have Pluto zero there, like there's something we don't know, then you're fucked because the people are going to fill that with something, right? Like, right. And if anything, what you have been putting out there is not going to work. And I feel like yes, I think that there's some sort of I don't think whoever's writing the stories for the dark are smart enough for quantum computing. They're just not smart enough people. They're not. I mean, they think they are. I'll go head to head with them, but I've watched them. They all need people like us to get those jobs done. You know what I mean? Like, and so I imagine that whatever this, I mean, the COVID thing wasn't that really well written.
No.
Like there's the same script in every TV station across the country. Like, really a lot of dumb, lazy mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just a lot of dumb, lazy mistakes. A lot of things they didn't count on. Just didn't really think through the plot. A lot of holes. Like so. Whatever's going to usurp that, I don't feel it's going to be Oscar winning. You know, People
So
will see through it.
this year is for most people. Well, okay, let me put it this way: everybody recently has been breaking up
Yes.
or getting back together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get messages about it every day. So my
Yeah. Me
relationships are
too.
falling apart.
Yep.
So why is that particularly happening right now?
It's happening because the relationships you had were here for one purpose, for you to learn about your pain and trauma and to heal. And they were not here for happily ever after because they were involved, they came from never happy ever, right? So they came from never happy ever situations. And that's where you had relationships with these people. And so these people were reminders of the dark ages who has the answer to a wife who is the protagonist and actually pushing you toward you. Sometimes it's like it's a good cop, bad cop as far as the people in your life, holding space for this, holding space for that, playing this role, playing that role. And the truth is that now that Neptune has entered left Pisces, we've shown you everything. Saturn has like another few weeks, and Saturn will be like, and we've given you a decision for everything. So once you decide what side of the karma fence you're on, if you are in anything new, it will be like 75% recasted. 75%. I would say 75%. The only thing I can relate this to is World War II. World War II, you had all these people like living in rural communities, like my grandpa and stuff. And the rural communities they knew each other, but they were like really tied together in unison or anything. World War II happens, and suddenly you got all these men from across the country becoming friends and meeting foreigners and having sex with foreign women. Like it's like what? Like as far as like the stirring of the pot of the people and the personalities and the characters. And men came home with war buddies that they kept in touch with forever. Women who worked in factories together had people and friends they kept in touch with forever. These people were living in farm communities just 2 years later. And so suddenly there's like a whole new cast of characters in our lives that mean the world to them, right? That's what we're about to have happen. So for me, I had the best of the best. I mean, my team at Serious Joy is just so. I mean, I'm in love with every person. Like they're just all so perfect in there and just care. And it hasn't always been like that, to where everyone's on the same page, everyone has the same vibe. And anyone who doesn't, who doesn't really get the vibe has created some sort of accident on their own. I mean, I even have to say, I'd be like, oh, he just quit. It's like as soon as I'm about to like say something or do something, like, boop, they're gone. It's like, okay. So people are basically organizing for the team they're supposed to be on for this frequency war, which I really call it a frequency race. I think we're racing to get to make the frequency most popular, our version most popular before the other one, right?
So again, this is really kind of explaining why people are going through this.
Yes,
It also people are also because of the age of Aquarius, and we're fully in it right now. People are also finding their tribes, right?
I do talk so fast. I'm sorry, guys. I've been talking ever since I've been ascending. I've been talking faster and faster, and then people keep telling me it's like slow
I
down. I'm like, you're right.
I hear you at the speed you talk.
That's funny.
So it doesn't.
Some of my friends are like, you always talk this fast. I'm like, I do. Okay. I feel bad. I've played back some stuff like shit. That was fast. Like I don't even know it. It's to me, it's not fast enough. It's like my brain wants to go faster. So I apologize. What was your question? I'm sorry. I saw a comment come up there. You asked about.
Um,
Do you remember? We were talking about marriages and stuff, and then falling apart, and I can't remember. I apologize for that.
it was a good question.
It was a good question too.
Somebody will put it
My
in the chat.
belly got excited to answer, it, and then I changed the subject.
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
but it's funny because I'm obviously at the same frequency because I think sometimes you're talking slow.
Yes, it's really interesting. I do that for some people. Yeah, no, you guys have to understand that high vibration is faster. So,
Yes.
and so, think of a hummingbird. Hummingbirds are the highest vibration birds there are, like so. And how fast are those wings going? Like that is where we're going. We're going to high vibration.
Oh, finding tribe. So
Oh,
now
okay.
we're in the age of Aquarius. People are really finding their tribe or their groups.
Yes, they are. And it's wonderful. And it's happening on its own.
And that's kind of also where the relationships, people are leaving a relationship. That way they're able to find where they really belong.
It's funny. I had a buddy call me the other day who I met here in Palm Springs. And he's like, "Hey, can we stop by your house and just chill? I got some friends with me." I'm like, "Sure," because I get the pool, I got the place, like so I'm playing like I'm what's his name from Playboy, right? So I'm him,
Hugh Hefner.
I'm the Hugh in town. So they stop by. I start talking to these guys. These guys look like football players, like they have kind of that mentality, and I'm getting to talk to them or whatever. They're all great. They're getting along like pals, totally cool guys. And so was the other guy. And sometimes I go, "When did you guys meet each other? You guys on the football team together or something?" Like, "Oh, we just met yesterday." I'm
Yeah,
like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You act like best friends. I mean, you
yeah,
just met yesterday. You're like a pack. You guys realize you're a pack? I thought you've been like friends since junior high. The way you're acting.
yeah.
They had met yesterday at a club.
I get that.
Yes,
Holy
it's happening
smokes.
like
I
that a
get
lot.
that. I get that a lot. It's like, hey, how long have you guys, you're like swapping cars, staying at each other's place? Wow. How long you guys know each other? 2 weeks. What?
Yes, you
What is
know.
that?
Yes, we just met. What? I mean, so that's the biggest evidence I'm seeing, and I have had the same experiences. I told you there's something about Palm. I just love in Palm Springs. I mean, it's just, and it comes to me. They're all coming to me. Like it's also, hey, Chris, I want to meet you. I want people are like, I want you to meet someone. I want you to meet someone. So like, people are bringing people to my house all the time. I want you to meet someone. I meet them. They're like fucking amazing, cool in so many ways, and like fit into everything I always wanted out of a doctor. Everything I was out of this. So I myself am having instant oatmeal
Yeah.
friendships with people too, and telling them I love them by the end of the day. I mean, like, I love you. I think I love you. The heart's just
I'm,
there. I also think too it's Atlantis stuff.
you
So
mean people feeling it because it feels like Atlantis is coming back. It's rising.
these are Atlantis friendships, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. These are Atlantis friendships. Like, I mean, I see in the charts. I can see in the chart what tells me if you're from Atlantis or Mu, which is Lemuria, but it's Mu. And there's
By the way, how do you see that in a chart?
So if you have any planets, mostly outer planets, like so, if you have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, in Aquarius, so the kids being born now are all Lantean, okay, and they're in the high degrees of Aquarius, high degrees, then they were absolutely ancient civilization because We didn't have a place to teach that except then. So,
Right.
so if you have high planets in that, how the fuck did you get that in the Dark Ages? You didn't. You got it in Atlantis. You're Atlantis. And now also my third eye is like Atlantis. Like I see what they were. And I used to say, and here's what's weird. Like 4 years ago, I'd be like, "You were in Atlantis." So like, I'll be darned. Now they're like, "I know." Like they know. They 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 know. They've had dreams. They're like, "Yes, I was in Atlantis." They tell me, I'm like, "Oh shit. Well, why don't you just do my job here?" Like I mean, they all know. So I've seen people wake up to Atlantis. I've had people telling me they're having dreams of going down the island, going down, riding the thing down. A lot of my guests on Astro Mingle have all been Atlanteans. Like two of them were Atlantis friends. Once we got backstage, I'm like, we were friends. She's like, I know, we were. So so it's awakening, and the reason why it's awakening is because those frequencies are thawing out, or like what's the word? Expanding. So
Expanding.
they were high. They were like hummingbirds, like trapped under a roof. And so as Pluto like brings space and time to these, and basically expands the frequencies, the hummingbirds come back alive and the memories come back alive. So we're basically thawing out ancient memories.
Yeah. So it used to be only LA was that I met somebody and they're my best friends in 2 weeks, but now it's everywhere.
Oh, oh yeah, and it's best friends for life too. I mean, there's a certain people do want like community. People do want to hang. People want their tribe. They're tired of being isolated and alone. That's another thing that went wrong. I think they're like, we're all going to be wearing Facebook goggles and not talking to each other. Could not be further from what happened. We got bored after you put us in COVID. You locked us up in COVID, and then we want to get out and meet people. You see, you're just not thinking this through, Bill. You're just not thinking this through. But
We
so yeah.
we're, we're coming through um uh we're coming through this portal, this change right now.
Mhm.
People are finding their new tribes. Um,
Yes.
what does it look like, do you think, coming in? Because we have like Empire Strikes Back and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm.
Like the way I can get this in my head is it seems like the cities are not going to change. They're going to be plugged in matrix, and it seems like everybody who is conscious is trying to move to somewhere new. And with technology, like right now, if you go on TikTok, you can find flywheel generators, 60 kilowatts, power 12 houses, perpetual motion, 20 grand, or you could give you the blueprints and you can build it, and they work. So in other words, electricity, water from the air, and satellites. So now we are not bound by the typical reasons why we go to cities. Cities are predominantly because water, sewer, and power.
Mhm. Totally. Yeah. And fire departments. I don't see it's going completely rural. I mean, I think Palm Springs is the perfect example. This city feels like LA, but it's actually tiny. You can get from one side to the other in 10 minutes, and there's no cars on the street, but it feels like a modern city. It's like a small modern city in the middle of the desert. You know.
So yeah, well, that I mean that's basically what it is. But I have a feeling more of them are going to pop up.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with you. I agree. But I'm saying it's this model. And by the way, people are flocking here like crazy. I've met so many people who just moved here in the last 4 weeks. I'm
Yeah,
like, what drew you here? Oh, yeah. And people are like, I don't know. I just felt like, I'm like, spirit's doing it, like spirit's doing it. I mean, there's crystals in these mountains around me. So it's like we're all on a high, from the crystals and from the calm of the air, the energy from, the mountains like shielding us from LA, like,
yeah. No, I
so
feel that when I'm there. I
yeah.
feel that with the mountains. I've always been drawn. Like it's always been peaceful, relaxing for me there.
Yeah, I love it. I'm surprised. I never went here when I lived in California. 20 years I lived in California, never went here. You know,
Seriously?
yeah, I never came here. I never. I drove, past it on my way to Phoenix. But it's so funny how life does that to you. Never saw it. And my friend Scott, Scott Cruz. He's a psychic, and he was telling me, I keep seeing you in the desert. I see you in the desert. And I'm like, it's not gonna fucking happen. Like, because I was thinking Phoenix or something. And then I come here, I'm like, oh shit, this is the desert, isn't it,
Yeah,
buddy? You know,
yeah,
it's like I think it is. So it's funny how God tells us. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's gonna be Star Wars. I think Star Wars had it right. You'll live in the middle of this, out in the middle of nowhere with robots to do everything for you.
yeah.
Like I think it's the way the model's going to be, and we need to spread out. We need like our peace. I mean, human beings cannot be in this 5G stuff. The truth is, like, your soul's supposed to vibrate like 5G, not the world. So it's basically inside out, right? Like as far as
Yeah.
those cities are concerned, and we can't do that anymore. So
I mean, that's exactly what it is. That's what I was saying is that the cities themselves, people are conscious. They won't last very long. Like I have limited amounts I have lots of stuff. I have EMF rocks in my bed so I can sleep at night. I've got equipment around me. I mean, I shield myself. I come in the cities, but I'm also shielding myself. I'm also back out in nature right away.
mm.
And I couldn't live in a city anymore. And I really couldn't. And I'm starting to see people that are going through the same experience. It's physically taxing on their nervous system as they're trying
Yep.
to raise their frequency. That's stopping the raising of their internal frequencies.
Yes, I mean, well, I was assured that I left LA because I was having anxiety attacks, and I was in Orange County at the time, which is the call even calling, and I was having anxiety attacks. I went up to 1 mile high in Denver, and I was like, "Oh my God, this I feel bad." And then I thought to myself, "Is that just you? Is it just me?" So now, since I've been in Palm Springs, I've gone to LA a couple of times on business. The third day, I am wigging out of my fucking skin. I've got to get out of there. I'm like, get me out of here. I can't, I'm snapping at people and I'm like, well, this energy's still here. There's just something really icky there. And to the people who live there, listen to your heart. I mean, some people they don't have bulletproof. I'm not, I'm an empath, so I'm not putting anyone down who's there, but I don't feel like it's necessarily healthy.
No, that's the part is that the cities, even what's happening, like give it LA, the mystery fire, not so mystery,
Mhm.
Olympic Village coming up, need new land, but the toxic waste and the chemical toxic waste that we're laying in the cities, it's even if we stop doing everything today, it would take decades and decades for that stuff to clean up.
Yeah. So maybe these movies where like our cities are wastelands, they didn't like pan left because we're all in the desert now.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's what it is. I feel like they're going to slowly, well, the population is going to lower on the planet anyways. That's part of the plan, from what I understand. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm very adamant, and I've been saying for a lot of time, it's 3 billion more to go. So
yeah, you've been that way, yeah, and they are more. I mean, they will all die. Everyone will die. It's just will they will come back, and so the angels are telling me, they're very clear that it's just a lower number, and maybe it's because I don't know. It could be a lot of things we don't even really understand because there was a real attraction to coming here in at this last phase we were in because it was the most intense. Now as we start to ascend, we're getting closer to like Pleiades and stuff. It's like, I don't know if it's so much of an Earth destination anymore. I mean, like, uh, it's like Earth is supposed to be like a little computer in space that's holding all the galactic information. It's a library.
yeah.
From what I understand from the galactic plans, it's a library. It's where we hold all the genes. From what I'm hearing so far, it's fascinating. Like all the plant species of the universe. Like the reason we have so many plants is because we have them all from all over the universe. Like, apparently, we have all the plants from all over the universe. We have all the chromosomes of the people from all over the universe. Like this is the Milky Way. Like presidential library. Like this has one of every here. And that's why Earth's so beautiful and crazy interesting. Is because it's like basically a museum of everything you can get in the whole Milky Way.
So for this week, um, what is something that everybody should focus on, just generally for the week?
I think if you guys haven't gotten this yet, I mean, I just can't tell you how important it is your heart. I mean, your heart is your intelligence, period. Are you there? It feels like we
Yeah,
got
I'm here.
quiet there. Okay, my screen got dark. I don't know. I don't know why. But you've got to listen to your heart. These are all teen degrees this week. That means all the teens are 1N, 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 1N. And so your heart is the one that rules everything. It's the one that knows everything. It's because it has the script. It wrote the script in heaven before you came. Like your heart is your representation of your higher self and God and everything. And so there's a tendency for people to bend the heart to go, I'm happy. And there's a tendency for people to go, wait here, heart, I'll fix it. And that's a mistake. You don't tell the heart to wait. You take it with you. Like take it with you to the store and make it choose the products. You take it with you to choose the people. So it's so simple. It's almost I'm embarrassed I have to tell people. It's like, but your heart is actually the solution you've been waiting for your whole life. It's who you've been waiting for. It's the love you've been waiting for. It's the acceptance you've been waiting for. It's everything. So that's part of the future. So this week it's like
Oh. Is that me or Chris? Can you guys still see me, or is that hello? Hello? You guys still see me? Is that Chris that went dead? Yeah, I know you feel like it's more difficult than the heart because the heart is the hardest thing to find. Yeah. Okay, everybody. We're done for today, anyways. That was a really great talk. We'll have this posted up here right away. I'm in Dubai, April 9th. And so if you have people in that end of the world, we're getting ready to do a Middle East and India tour. We're getting ready to do that towards the end of the year, October, November. And also, if you haven't done it yet, we have a new program that's out. If you are not ready for the coaching program, but you just want to learn how to do maneuvers like partner maneuvers to help your family and friends, stuff like that, we have a course that's out that you can purchase that shows you step by step and breaks it down into really, really simple, easy ways for you to do this. Also, too, if you haven't done it yet, if you've been waiting for Power Kirk, it's back in stock. So Power Kirk's back in stock. It's been hard to keep some of these things in stock because of supply chain, but if you are a Power Kirk user, make sure you get some extra. Anyways, everybody, great week coming up. We will be talking.